Welcome to the Brand Success Podcast, where you'll hear amazing stories from people like you who overcame their fears, frustrations, and obstacles on their way to brand success. Join us to be inspired by how they persevered, pivoted, and powered on to success. Not easy, but they did it, and so can you.
Hello, my friends. So do you feel like I do, like it's really tough to be photographed? Like, gosh, I just don't look as good as I'd like to look. And so I kind of shy away from that sometimes, or maybe I'll do a sneak selfie or something like that. But that's not really how you really put your brand out into the world. And so I'm Kate Wagner. I'm your host of Brand Success. And today I'm with Heike Martin Photography, Heike Martin with Heike Martin Photography. And Heike has been doing brand photography, branding headshots, branding photography that really captures the essence of a personal brand. And you will see that in some of the photographs that we'll see today. But before we get into some of the photographs, I'm going to ask Heike to tell us her brand story, her brand success story. What's the secret sauce, the secret formula to creating your brand, Heike Martin Photography?
Thanks. And I really love the whole sauce thing because it is sometimes really tasty, but also slippery journey, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I'm Heike Martin, and I'm the owner and lead photographer at Heike Martin Photography, based here in Lancaster. But definitely always open to traveling. So
Right.
airplane ticket, wherever you want to take me. I love to be on the road. So how did I start my brand, and how did I start actually doing what I'm doing? Brand photography is not necessarily new, and yet it is a bit of a new niche. Mm-hmm. I've been a photographer for quite a number of years, have taken up the camera when I was a kid, and over a number of years sort of really realized how much I enjoy taking pictures of people. Mm-hmm. Out of that, though, I realized I don't want to just take pretty pictures. Mm-hmm. To me, it's realizing, as I'm becoming my own business owner and working, I mean, a number of years of working in the industry, realizing how many women, doesn't matter where we are, this country, any country, mm-hmm. how much we're hiding. We want to be successful, but we totally hide behind all kinds of barriers that we're putting up. And that is what really pushed this for me. It said, like, I don't just want to take a pretty picture. I want to take a picture that tells you a story. I want to take pictures that make you step up and show up in your own business and show up with pride. But I also want to have images that show what you do, that show your passion in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And so this is how this has all just grown over the last number of years. And the more I get to know the women that I work with, the more I hear the stories behind their brand, behind their personal life, the more I know I need to help them actually transform this into images that they can use for their business. Because we all have our stories, and the stories form what we do. We can't just take it out and say, okay, this is me at home. I'm going to work. I'm a completely different person. There's some of that happens, but there's so much of us that we bring into our business. And that's where that whole personal branding comes in, to sort of like, in a way, marry the two, to sort of bring that together, to bring your personal essence of who you are into everything that you do, and make this what makes you then again stand out as a business owner, as your own brand. As you're growing, people get to know that portion, that part of who you are. So that is sort of what's been driving me. And it's been kind of interesting, actually, when I look at, okay, what makes it different? I think what I've seen, even within branding photography, I see a lot of just very nice portraits. Maybe it's not like when I say like headshot, it's like a close-up of really just me bringing out, again, like connecting. But then I see a lot of portraits, someone just sitting on desk, like looking really pretty. And I'm still not grasping what they actually do in their business. So I'm really missing that portion. And so what I've been doing is, it's digging down deep with my client into like, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do in your business that is different? Like, how are you connecting with your clients? And how can we showcase that? So hopefully like some of the images we'll have later on is this showing a little bit of a different process of what we're working on together. And to me, it's an incredible amount of teamwork with my clients. So it's like really digging deep into their own brand story and understanding how do you want to be perceived? What are some of the adjectives that you would describe you? So we're going through quite a consultation together that helped me to fully understand who they are and what they do and why they do what they do. And only with that information can I then actually pull out and create images that, again, pull out the essence of the client. So it's really serving the female business community. That is what my main niche is and where I thrive and who I love to work with. So it's been the other piece with that. You sort of mentioned that in your introduction, Kay, which I'm glad you did. And that is the fears. Oh my God. Yes. I mean, part of my consultations, we all bring fears. I mean, I grew up, I had braces, I had insoles, I had glass from little on. I was the one who had pimples in the family. There's just like all this kind of baggage that I'm still carrying to today. And that always made me sort of shy away a little bit from being in front of the camera. My sister didn't have those things. I was always the one dealing with all these issues. And so that's baggage we carry. Then another image that we'll have that you might want to share at this point is one of the clients I work with. She's an incredibly beautiful woman, very petite, gorgeous person, but she's always felt like I look too young. I don't look powerful enough. People don't take me seriously. Yeah. And so when I heard that part of her story, I said, okay, how do I showcase it? I'm not going to take that away from her. That's part of her story. It's not about taking away fears. It's working with that. So how can I help you maybe overcome a little bit and then create something? That we said like, okay, location is going to be key for her. So like in the city, tall buildings behind, low angle of taking the image. So to elevate her. So if you look at the image, the woman of the young Indian woman, you will see her. She is taller than anyone else in the entire picture, really like overshadowing, has a stance of straight up, looking you in the face, camera in her hand. She's also a photographer. Her legs straight sideways, a power pose. So it's like, help me understand where you're at and what images, what pose, what surrounding, what location will tell your story. And that is how we overcome some of those fears and actually turn them around into something that you're walking out and say like, yes, you got something out of me that I didn't even realize I had in me.
Yeah.
So when I get those responses, then I know I've done my work.
Right.
That is always, that's incredibly rewarding. So what's been the biggest challenge in all of that? Or first of all, like, what have I discovered? Discovered is really like, it's the fears. I mean, the fears and how I need to work with them. So that deep listening is like an incredibly important part of the process. And I cannot skip that. If I do that, I do a disservice to the women I work with.
Right.
The biggest challenge in all of that is having the time to do that. Because it does take more time than someone just signing up on your website, boom, click a date, sign up, book, come in and be done. Much quicker. I could serve way more clients that way. But I've chosen the process of doing it slowly with my clients, but doing it very intently on purpose and with purpose. Right. And I don't know, I much rather have a client who really walks out of there with a whole image bank that they can use and be proud and absolutely love. But also the process, that transformation that happens. So there's so much of that have a client walking out of here and say like, wow, this was amazing. So that is definitely a challenge. I think something I have to learn and live with is like time management and being able to give my clients what they need, but yet within a time frame that makes sense, business wise.
Right.
So over the years, my journey, that has been an interesting journey. Like almost any photographer, we've all done all kinds of genres. I mean, I've done my share of taking pictures of butterflies and flowers and all of those kinds of things. I realized over the years that I am not a landscape photographer. You put me in front of like building or outdoors, like, oh, there's mountains. Yeah, they look nice. What am I supposed to do? So once I discovered working with people, it took me a while to actually have the courage to start asking people to sit for me. I mean, that again, like, it's like, oh my God, am I good enough? Can I do this kind of thing? But realized like, oh my word, I love that engagement that happens. And yes, by doing this and this and this, I can actually pull something out of my clients. It's what totally changed my perspective on photography and what I just really discovered what I love doing. But it also came out of a bit of a deep, low time. A couple of years ago, we went as a family through a very emotional period in our life, and photography sort of was my way to hide from reality and hide from the world. And it allowed me just to really dig deep and do quite a bit more photography and just taking classes and learning. And but it also helped me to change my perspective in life. I think this is what gives me the edge right now of what I'm doing, is because I had to learn that I'm the one who has to move. I'm the one who has to change position. I'm the one who has to step back. I'm the one who has to come close. I have to get up. I have to go low in order to be able to see things that were happening around me in a different light. And that is something that has totally shaped me and pushed me in a way that I'm now utilizing as I'm working with my clients. So that has been a big part of the journey, like a growth, very deep personal growth. And so as I'm growing, I'm able to share this with my clients and help them sort of. It's a little bit like being a coach. I'm actually surprised often, like how much coaching I do. Photography is almost just a very normal part of this. So we do the coaching until we get to the camera portion,
right,
and then it happens. But the journey sort of continues with that. I think as I'm growing in what I'm doing, I'm certainly as I'm improving my skills, and that's an ongoing area that I constantly take classes in. So as I'm have more and more expertise in my field of photography, the other portion of personal growth is adding more and more to what I'm able to pull out of my clients. You had asked me, like, how would I characterize my brand? Actually, I wrote that down. Let me just find that again, because I really like what I wrote down here. Is helping women see themselves in a new light so that I can capture the essence with every click. And it's, to me, this twofold. My brand is changing someone's viewpoint of themselves and allowing me at the same time then to create images that do exactly that really pull out who they are. So that is, in a nutshell, I think what my brand is. So for someone to build their brand, and I found it really interesting, as I was thinking like some of the like suggestions or tips I would give, I realized none of them have to do with photography. It's really not about, I mean, the photography is one big portion of, yes, you need images, but I find it way more important that you need to understand your own story. So if you understand your story, then you also know what to tell a photographer or what images you will need, but you need to understand your own story first. That's like a key piece of building your brand. And then you can flesh that out, and as you're growing with that I think that is what creates the content. If you don't have a story, you don't even know what content to put out there.
Right.
So the better you understand your own story, the better you can work with whoever you work in, content writers, photographers, videographers, to really then cement that and bring that visual aspect to it. The other piece is, and I think I'm talking as a brand expert myself, any business, any brand is get to know your clients. Find out how they tick and what their pain points are. You're serving them. You're not, it's not about you. The brand is really, I'm just the person doing all these things, and I'm the expert maybe in this, I'm the guide in this, but it's my client who I'm serving. So if I need to understand them, and I need to understand what helps them. And that really brings me to that. My next tip is become an expert, but even more than an expert, become a guide.
Nice.
And out of all of that, now that I have that, I didn't have I wish I would have had actually those things like a couple of years ago. That's always a thing. Hype, always better. You grow. And I think that's part of it, is sometimes to just allow ourselves some grace as we're starting our business and as we're building our brand. I think it's like, especially with the story, like understanding your own story, is like to constantly revisit that and see how your story is changing, or what other tidbits you can learn from yourself. But I think one big piece that I probably would have liked to have done differently is to start collaborating earlier in my life with other businesses in the area. Really pulling from the strength that is community, because we all bring different knowledge, because we're all these different businesses. I mean, even like working with a bookkeeper here, with another one who does website marketing, other coaches. There's so much that we can learn from each other and actually help all of our businesses grow just by being able to listen in and being there for each other. So that to me, I think at the beginning it's like, I have to prove myself. I have to do all these things on my own. And that's just stupid. It's really, it's a disservice to yourself, because you think you're like, oh my God, I'm this amazing person. No, you're good when you collaborate with others.
Right.
That's when the best comes out in all of us, and we just build on each other's strength.
Right.
And you also get feedback. You get, there's accountability when you work with others, there's feedback, and that in itself helps you grow as well.
Right.
So I think that's definitely one thing I wish I would have started earlier.
Yeah. Just to transition from that, there's an African proverb that says, if you want to get there fast, go by yourself or do it yourself. If you want to go for the long term, go with others or collaborate with others.
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of the essence of what you're saying in terms of collaboration. And we see a lot more collaboration today than we may have seen in the past, because I think we start to understand that even though we may be in the same kind of industry, we're not necessarily collaborators, and that we can be stronger together. And particularly with personal brands, I think, because you spend a lot of time alone.
You do.
And so it's great to have other people who are in your circle, who, have your back, who you can throw ideas, play ideas with. Off of each other. I'm really curious. I'm very interested in this. I'm going to say psychologist photographer. So, so I've been in the marketing business for a long time. I've been to a ton of photo shoots, and I know that there is no hiding that fear that comes into the face and into the eyes when the lights are on, and there is this thing that I think is so deeply human about being seen, that you touched on early on about helping women, and I won't be able to say it as well as you did, but helping women to be seen and the essence of who they are coming out, not just maybe their physical beauty or being, but the essence of them coming out. So what my question then is, you can't go back and be a psychotherapist for the last 40 years, right?
Yeah. No.
You've got to do this in what, a half an hour or an hour and a half or whatever. How do you get to the essence of that so that, and I've seen your photography, which is just fantastic. How do you get to the essence of that so that people, when they look at your lens, that they have that connection? Because I would say the photos that I've seen, there seems to be like there's a connection there. It's not just a camera. It's not just a person.
That happens. That is prep work. It is not something I like to do on the day off. That is definitely something that happens in my consultations with my clients. And it kind of depends like how much. Like if it's a full branding client, then we go through like a whole bit of a lengthy consultation process, from sitting down together, but also questionnaire they have to fill out. And then I pick out certain things that I'm hearing during those times, and then we try to dissect that a little bit, and I try to help them see like what I plan to do. But it's also prepping them in terms of clothing choices and explaining like how I work, that they start trusting the process. I mean, when you come in cold, like any cold calling, there's absolutely no connection.
Right.
You have nothing that gives you any clue of who the other person is. If I have someone boom just in front of my camera, I might be able to get something out of them in 5 minutes, and I've done that.
Right.
But if you get like a whole series of images that consistently bring out the essence, there needs to be that prep work that only happens when you take time. And I do ask questions like, has there been anything in your experience that makes you now shy away from photography? Like a bad experience, a bad shoot, show me some of the images that you didn't like.
Right.
What is it about them? And I can then sometimes dissect the image and see what maybe could have, just by changing position, lighting again, to getting them a little bit more comfortable. So just by sometimes understanding like what the experience has been, but then also very much understanding, I want to understand your personality. And so that is always a big piece, again, like in doing the consultation, that we make sure that I understand. So we talk about it, and then it's sort of like, okay, let's just put this to rest.
Right.
I'm here, I've heard, I will hold your fear, and let's have a good time doing it. So it's just allowing just to let it rest, to let it sit and allow me to, I have it for you. I will hold it for you the entire time you're in front of my camera.
So I want to have a good time with you right now, and I want you to tell all my friends on this podcast and YouTube video, who are the 3 people that you would most want to photograph?
Okay, Michelle Obama's number 1. I don't even have to think about that one. I just absolutely love her charisma. She's just a powerful woman, but also so, I don't know, there's something about her personality that just totally draws me in. And I'm trying to think who's next. Actually, not people necessarily that you know, but I've been working in fair trade for many, many years. So artisans that I've had a chance to visit in Pakistan through some of my work those have been some of my favorite port visits. I would love to go back and do more of that, because there's a dignity, there is a passion for their life, for family, for the work they do, that is something really, really special. And those are women who are definitely more hidden than even here in the US, just because of society. And so to be able to pull something out and showcase their amazing life stories that I would love to be able to do.
Yeah.
Like a whole series of that.
And one more.
That would be pretty incredible. And one more.
One
Actually,
more.
it's you.
No.
I would love to get you in front of the camera.
No, I don't think I'm very photogenic. So.
Yeah, no, you are photogenic, actually. Everyone is. That's the thing. We all in our own different ways.
Yeah.
The third person I would love to take pictures of, actually more often, is my mother. I mean, we live on 2 different continents, so that's always a bit of a hindrance. So, but she's such a genuine, amazing person. Everybody just loves her. But she, again, is someone who's usually not in front of the camera and really shies away.
Yeah.
So just to kind of back up with it, I did a photo shoot with her 2 years ago where I just had to do all kinds of goofy stuff. And first she was so hesitant. I wasn't sure what I wanted her to do. And then we ended up having so much fun with that. It ended up with just such a fun mix of images. And to me, it's again, it's like I constantly come back. Yes, there are powerful women or powerful people that would be probably fun and amazing to do, but I always come back to your basic person.
Right. Yeah.
Someone, my neighbor, my mom, a friend, another woman in the neighborhood. That to me, we all have stories, and I want to capture those.
That's awesome. Well, Heike, I want to thank you for being with us, and I want to say that you've done a fantastic job of building your brand and finding your secret sauce, which is pretty amazing. But before I let you go, and I didn't tell you this at the beginning, I have a brand quiz for you.
Uh-oh.
It's really easy. It's a preference. Okay, number 1. Do you prefer Pepsi or Coke?
Coke.
Okay. Do you prefer a BMW or a Mercedes?
That's the one. That's one I think actually BMW.
BMW?
I don't know what it is about this, but there's just something in there. Again, like how they do their messaging. Just
right. Beautiful cars.
There's definitely something that speaks to me.
Yeah. Okay. Uber or Lyft?
Uber.
And
I have to tell you a funny story with that.
Okay.
I was in Chicago for a workshop just in September. I had the best Uber driver ever.
Cool.
We were a group of four women in the car, and the guy did karaoke with us the entire trip. So if you have an Uber driver like that, there is no question. So to me, Uber will always be the winner.
That's great. That's great. Okay. iPhone or Android?
Oh, I'm Android all the way through.
Yeah? Would not have guessed that one.
Might say something about my personality. I don't know. I'm a little bit of a tech geek. So I've always been drawn to Androids for that reason.
All right. And this is the last question. There was a research study done, I don't know, maybe in February, something like that. What is the number 1 most loved brand in America?
When? Just now, or
like in the past year or 2 years?
Oh
and
my!
I'll give you a clue. Most loved and used brand in America. Think Cyber Monday.
Yeah, I mean, like Apple would be one.
I think they came in third.
Oh, third. Okay.
So everybody in America uses this brand for every possible thing you could buy. Plus now, movies, music, and very recently, streaming TV.
Oh, Amazon.
Ding, ding, ding.
It's almost like you don't even think about them as a brand anymore because they are so big, and just because they have so many brands under them that, you kind of forget. It's just a daily habit of using them. Yeah.
And if you're a Prime user, you just buy all kinds of stuff from them. So that's cool.
That's
okay. Heike, thank you so much. And I want to thank all my friends out there who continue to come and hear wonderful brand success stories like Heike's. And we look forward to seeing you in our next episode. And that's a wrap. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Kay.
You just heard another great formula for brand success. What's your secret sauce or magic formula? Post your story on our Facebook page called Brand Buzz. Then come back soon for the next brand success story that's cooking up right now.